As you can see, this is my Blink LED game. The game is the light travels across several LEDs. When it hits the green LED, you try to press the button. If you press a button, your score increases. So as you can see here, every time the button gets pressed when the green LED, the score is updated and you gain a point.
This is Blink Blink Go, but with BLE. So here we have my code up running with a serial monitor. All right. Big difference with this one is that we can choose our difficulty. So this is the easiest difficulty. So the LED is nice and slow. And the difficulty, the variable is called switch, and so we're on the first difficulty, the easiest one.
This is the BLE app. This is where I can read and write the values for my variable. For the next two clips, for the next two difficulties that you see, I change the values by just pressing the button on the screen here.
Now here's the second most, or the middle difficulty. See, it's just a little faster. Second difficulty. And here's the third difficulty, the hardest one, with the fastest LED. And this switch is 3.
This is my breadboard and schematic for Blink Blink BLE. So everything's the same except for the board, which I switched out for an Arduino 101 board, as the Leonardos do not have built-in Bluetooth and the 101 boards do. But all the ports are the same, all the wiring is the same. So if you see Leonardo over here, it's actually 101. So let's first start with the LED array. It looks complicated, it's not complicated. It's the same miniature circuit done 7 times. So power is sent out through these PWMs, or voltage is sent out. It first hits a 100 ohm resistor. A resistor resists the flow of electricity so that we don't hurt our components. So for these LEDs, a 100 ohm resistor is required. So all of these are 100 ohm resistors. Then it hits a light emitting diode, an LED. A light emitting diode. So a diode is just a one-way valve to let current through, and a light emitting diode is essentially the exact same thing, but when current is sent through, it emits light. So that's this. All of these are the same, or the same blue LED, except for this middle one, which is green, which is the function of the game. Okay, so this is the 4th LED. Okay, then it gets grounded by this over here, by this wire over here, and then that completes a circuit. So it's complete circuit, complete circuit, complete circuit. So it's like small, so it's a completed circuit, and yeah. So now we move on to the user input section. It's pretty simple. Power gets sent, or voltage gets sent out here, hits a 1 kilo ohm resistor, then it stops, because if the switch is up, or like how it is right now, if the button is up, not being pressed, the circuit is not completed. Once the button is pressed, this gets completed, voltage gets sent through, it gets grounded, but before that, this detects that the voltage is being sent through, gets sent back into the Arduino board. That's all that is. This is the code for Blink Blink BLE. It's pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the Blink Blink Go. However, we have a few changes incorporating Bluetooth low energy and whatnot. Okay, so first we're including the Curie BLE library. The Curie BLE library is just a special library made specifically for the 101 boards that have their own built-in BLE. And so that's what we use. We set up a service. Service is it's basically a line of communication between the device you connect to the board and your device. BLE unsigned char characteristic. It's just setting a characteristic for us to read and write from our phone. These are pinouts, just for the LEDs, and this is the button out. That's all it is. These are variables that are used throughout the code. Don't really need to explain them. That's all they are. It's just they're used throughout the code. That's all you need to know. We first get to our setup. So each each code for Arduino has a setup stage. Let's run once. So we have we set up pinouts. We set serial begin. We tell the Bluetooth to initiate. We set a local name that doesn't work with the app for some reason. I haven't been able to figure out how to work. Some apps recognize it, some apps don't, but the app I'm using does not recognize local names. And advertise service, it just advertises service to your phone. This adds a characteristic to said service, and so we use with a switch characteristic that we've already told exists up here. We set a value for the switch characteristic, so I'm fairly sure it's an integer value. It could be a byte. Either way, it's a number. And so we set the value as 0 just so we have something to work off of, just so that the code doesn't break down. And then it starts advertising to Bluetooth. And then we have a print line, just a startup, just telling us that it starts up, because sometimes it takes a second. We don't know when it actually starts. Now we get onto the loop. So this tells us that if the central is connected, this is just basically checking if we're connected or not to the device. That's all this does. If it is connected, then it does all this stuff. This stuff is basically just saying, what is the characteristic value, or switch characteristic value? What is the value of the switch characteristic? Okay, 1, 2, or 3. And if it's 1, the speed is set to slower, 2, medium speed, 3, faster speed. That's the distinction between blink blink BLE and blink blink go. Okay, there is, you can kind of set your own difficulty. That's really it. It's the only big difference. Over here, this is the code's the same, but we're still going to go over it. So we set button state. We create a variable for button state. Button state is the pinout, the current pinout from the board. If button state is low, so if it's pressed, it does all this code. All right. Right. So this code is basically one chunk is for one LED. So essentially what it is. Okay, ready? We delay. We turn the LED on. We send voltage to the LED. Turns on. Then we delay again, which is the time on and off. Then we turn the LED off. We change the speed value just to be a little bit faster, or a little bit slower, sorry. And then we do the same thing again. We turn the LED on. We print the speed. We delay. Turn the LED off. That's all it is. This piece of code. This piece of code is the same. Now for the fourth LED, the green LED, we have a slightly different piece of code that's pretty interesting and pretty useful. But we're kind of using it for a stupid game. So basically, it uses the difference. So when your Arduino starts up, it has this thing. It has this function right here called milliseconds. Okay, or millis. Basically, that is the amount of time it's been powered on for. And so this gets to be a quite large number. So this is our start time, and this is our end time. Okay, we set the end time to be the same as the start time. While our end time minus our start time is less than a desired value, this piece of code will run. Basically, it's waiting. It's waiting for a certain amount of time to pass while still running code. Because we still want to check the button state, or for the we still want to check button state while it's on the green LED, just so we can update the score and whatnot. Okay, so that's this piece of code, right? It's pretty straightforward. It happens again later on. So this is for one direction, and then it switches to go to the other direction. And that's it. It's just back and forth, back and forth. It's just a lot of the same code, a bunch of different times. And yeah, this is the code for Blink Blink BLE. Here are the serial printouts for the Blink Blink Go. So all these numbers right here are just speeds. That's all they are. Don't really need to worry about them. It's just speeds. It's just for my sake. Switch is the, I guess, current difficulty. It is a difficulty. It's just called switch because it's a variable. That's the name of the variable. Um, so if we actually go on my phone here, we can change it to, let's say, 2. That's about a switch 2. Yep. See, it's a little slower now. And already we're gonna do 1. There she is. Okay. So that's just the serial printouts for Blink Blink BLE. This is just a video of me using the app. I've set up the 3 values already, and I'm just clicking through them. Clicking through the switch characteristic value is changing the difficulty of the game. So this is what the app looks like.